Hey, welcome everybody. This is John Paul Medocha. This is Dr. Speech Selling. It is a Raging Verbalist number 95. Who said we'd ever get there? That's the interstate on the East Coast going up and down, So if you want to go from Miami to Boston, you're on Interstate 95. This is no traffic report, though. We'll be talking about a couple of things that could create a traffic jam. Now, with me is all. So first off, I should explain what Raging Verbalist is. I'm asked questions by somebody who you're going to be meeting in just a second. And therefore, these are the questions that maybe you would want to ask me to hear what the Raging Verbalist, which is me, who would answer these questions. Also, if you have not subscribed, do that. If you haven't hit a like, do that. What the heck? Do it. I don't know. Maybe YouTube will send me money. Also, there's a Facebook group called Position to Win Book, and go check that out, because that's the whole point of this whole thing, is so you can figure out how not to go down the tubes. All right. So let me introduce, without any further ado, the ever lovely Sandra. Sandra, how are you doing?
I am all right. How are you today?
Good. By the way, we just have to let everybody know that Sandra is back from a little bit of a Rocky Mountain high. So she went to my native state and drove up over the mountain pass and all of that stuff. And, so were you affected a little bit by the altitude? Did you feel it?
I don't think so. Well, maybe when I had a few adult beverages at a high altitude.
Well, you can be a cheaper date when you're up high, right?
Exactly. I guess so.
So anyway, all right. Well, good. She's back. She's ready to go. So, all right. So what are we talking about today? What are we going over? Lay it on.
All right. We're talking about Apple. All right. So with their big reveal that happened, give us an overview on what happened on September 14th.
So for those of you who don't know, that every September basically is Apple's time to shine. If you're an anti-Apple person, I guess, maybe you want to listen to this. I'm going to still tell some funny stories. I'm not a total Apple fan guy. I guess fanboy. I mean, I don't know. I mean, with these pronouns or something, a fam or I don't know. Anyway, so fanblade. But anyway, every September, Apple introduces new phones, which is like this massive thing they do. And since, of course, we've had the pandemic 2 years in a row, they do it with this, very slick produced, commercial, video, infomercial. The only thing it doesn't have is the before and after pictures, but it goes through and it sells high tech in kind of a cool way. So yeah, Apple introduced a whole bunch of cool things. And the big overview is that they went out and they launched the iPhone 13. So for those of you who are counting, yes, you now have to have your shoes off, or at least one shoe off to get to 13, as far as I can tell, unless you have very strange hands. And that was the big reveal, was the iPhone 13. And as happens every year, it's bigger, faster, bigger, faster, bigger, faster, bigger, faster. And we'll be going into that in a little greater detail. But they introduced a whole bunch of stuff. And so they have the new iPhones, and they have 4 different models of the iPhones, which turns out to be how they are covering the market. So they got the iPhone 13. And by the way, there's a lot of talk. Somebody did a survey on the internet. Wow. Oh, what a surprise. And they asked people, so are you worried about it being, the number 13 because it could be an unlucky phone for you? Yeah, unlucky is that, you have incriminating photographs, or, you've been doing something that you didn't want your significant other to find, and they go, whoa, what's this picture of? Not a good thing. But anyway, iPhone 13. So they bit the bullet. They said, caution to the wind. We're not going to worry about the people who are fanatic about the number 13. We're going to do that. So they have 4 different iPhone 13s. They have a mini, and then they got a regular, and then they had, and then they have 2 Maxes and Pros and all that. So we'll get into it a little bit more. Now, this isn't a normal, reveal thing, because, normally you're going to have somebody who's sitting there, they'd be flashing graphics and tell you how many transistors. I mean, I always love that when they tell you how many transistors, as if somebody's going to crack open the phone and count 80 billion transistors. You do 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyway, so it was pretty cool. And then a couple of iPads and a new watch. So that's kind of the big reveal.
All right. So which product that they introduced are you likely to buy?
Am I likely to buy? Well, the one I'm
Or
probably
sorry, least likely to buy.
least likely to
I
buy.
didn't
Okay.
read my question correctly.
Okay, least likely. Well, so the one I'm probably least likely to buy is that they updated the laggard, which was the iPad, the lowly iPad, and it's a little bit more horsepower, but it's got but it's a price point, $329, which for Apple is a low price. If you're coming from the Walmart crowd, you could buy a big screen for that. I got it. But for Apple, that's probably my least likely. It isn't much of an upgrade. I guess it is for some people, and it lets them get into the pool. But no, it's probably not my idea of fun. In fact, if you're going to buy an iPad and you have your heart set on it, my guess is you should buy an iPad Mini. And the Mini looks pretty cool because it has the processor, and this is where you do count how many transistors, but it has the robust A15 processor from the phone in the iPad, and it comes with an availability of 5G. By the way, I'm going to just take a second to tell anybody, if you're out there, and I have all of this stuff. I have Android, I have Apple, who knows? I'm confused. And I may need counseling, but I can tell you that it's great to have the little Samsung tablet or pad or whatever they call it. They don't have a pad. They call it a tablet, South Koreans. Now it's pretty cool, but it is only usable with, of course, because it doesn't appear to have a cellular phone option, cellular connection option. So you have to connect it to Wi-Fi, which you may say that isn't that hard a deal. On the other hand, I have an iPad Pro and I have the cellular and it's connected. So that means I can be someplace. How about like waiting? Because there's a lot of waiting that we're doing during these times. And I can sit there and I can be waiting. And, I just connect it to the cell network, and I'm, watching videos and trading stocks and updating stuff. So that's pretty cool. So, yeah. So that's what I would say is least likely, Sandra. The new iPad, the lowly one, is not on my list. I would tell people kind of avoid it, donate some more blood and buy the Mini, the new Mini with more power. So
sell some plasma, get some extra cash.
Well, everybody should
whatever
know
you gotta do.
Exactly. You should know what your blood type is, and see if you can help trade that out. Since I had COVID, and they're now harvesting, my serum to help people live, which sounds like a cool idea. I'm thinking, as a libertarian, as a free market guy, why don't we have like a spot market on, here's your blood type. Can you prove that you've had COVID? And if you can, this is how much money you can make on this thing. I'm just, just saying. I mean, why not?
There you go. All right. So having said that, which item are you most likely to buy?
So for me, the one I'm most likely to buy, because I don't buy the phone each and every generation. I usually skip a couple of generations, and now I've done that. I've skipped a couple of generations. Is the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Whew. And that's, they add a couple more things to it. It's like, wow. Now this thing has got a big ass display. It's got really high speed. It has high speed display, which people will tell me who are sitting out there right now, as you're yelling through your, mouth filled with food, saying, but Androids have had it for years. Yep, the highest end Android phones have had that higher speed screen. However, I have to tell you that, we're talking about Apple today. We're not talking about Android. By the way, I got a whole bunch of, I got some beef with all of this stuff because I end up with stuff that doesn't work like it should. So, I can match you toe to toe with this. But what I'm telling you is that I like the fact that there is this iPhone 13. It's got an A15 processor, lots of letters and alphabet in there. But the really cool thing is that it's got all of these capabilities. Like it can now shoot, 30 frames a second, 4K video. You talk about going crazy with that thing, but it also can do super slow-mo at 1080p, which I think has 240 frames a second. So if you want to, stop things in mid-action, you got it right there. And that's pretty cool because I mean that it's really the cameras are what are pushing this thing because the processors are faster. And of course, every generation they have to make the battery last a little bit longer. So this thing is supposed to be lasting all day. I have a tendency to just use a compound word that would be bullshit, because all the stuff that's supposed to be lasting all day, all night kind of thing, I'm a power user. Now I understand I do something which is a little strange with my phone. And I'm going to explain that, so I don't want anybody to be nervous now. I use it to make phone calls, voice phone calls. Now, for some of you, you may not understand, there's an icon on every one of these, which allows you to dial somebody and in an auditorial way, talk to them. Now, I have had people tell me that there's a whole new generation who do not like to talk on the phone. They do not like to do that connection. They like to just kind of do that texting. And all I can say to them is, okay, everybody's got to have their own jelly and their own jam, but I don't get it, because the best part about talking on a phone is that you and the other person are going back and forth simultaneously. It's bilateral communication. So that I use that. And so I'm always looking for bigger and better batteries. And I want the big screen, because when I'm watching something, I don't want these little tiny screens. I mean, I've been hanging around this whole internet thing. I can tell you that the first time somebody showed me a internet video, which we all stood around, gobsmacked is the phrase, because I don't want to swear too much on these things. So we were gobsmacked, and we were watching a 120 by 120 pixel video. I didn't even know if you could call it video, at 8 frames a second. Now, all I can tell you is, and by the way, this was people who were developing a porno site. You have to have extreme imagination and acute eyesight for that thing. I mean, but they were doing it. They were showing it to me, because that's how big the pipe was. I'm just saying. So we've come a long way. And by the way, any of you who think you're downloading and watching 4K video live, forget about it. The other really cool thing is that it's the second generation of 5G. And, eventually 5G will take over. I've been around since there wasn't even 1G or 1X, but I can tell you that it's pretty cool. And that hopefully will come about over time. And here's the really crazy part is, I mean, they're getting over gigabit speeds through that modem and all that. So that's the one I'm looking at buying. And now, having said that, and by the way, that's $1,099 to start off. So it's like, yikes. Yeah. Now, for those of you who don't have $1,099, for those of you who don't even want to get close to that, I have something that you should probably be thinking about. And what that is I have something that is a bargain of the day. You got to think about it. You got to jump in there. Maybe it's time to do it. And here it is. Ready? We are going to just go right here. And that is, you can get, most businesses fail in the first 5 minutes. It just takes them 3 to 5 years to realize it. Position to Win. This book is now available again at our website, positiontowinbook.com, positiontowinbook.com. Send how you want me to inscribe it. I mean, if you say really nasty things, I probably won't put that in there. I'll put, but anyway, but send it and you can buy that. You can also buy it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and you can also buy it every which way you can think of electronically. Kindle, Nook, Apple. And then, of course, we have our other book, which is Remote Work for a Better World, to find out how to do this kind of thing in a better way. Excuse me. Getting choked up over the offer. So it can also go to positiontowinbook.com and get all kinds of cool free stuff for those of you who are too cheap to buy the book. Okay, what is the next question?
All right. So, can you tell the story about being in Las Vegas during an iPhone launch?
I will definitely tell you that. So to tell you what kind of cult this thing is. And by the way, this is a great business lesson, is that you want to build a cult if you can. So I am sitting at a claim jumper with a business partner, and he is about as anti-Apple as you can get. I mean, when Apple computers came out, I mean, he quit eating apples even. I mean, he won't even touch anything, apple pie out of here. No. And we're sitting there and we're at the claim jumper and we look out and here, and it's, it's fall, but it's 90 degrees outside. It's Vegas. And there is this huge, long line snaking outside of this building across the street. It's one of these open air malls. Why would you build an open air mall in Vegas? Why would you need a roof in Vegas over a mall when you could have people sweltering outside? Doesn't make any sense to me. But again, I'm not in that business. And he goes, what are those people doing? And I said, they're waiting to get their new iPhone. He says, what? They're going to be walking through that door around the corner. He goes, around the corner? I mean, this is a huge, long line. I said, yeah. So anyway, we finish our meal. The line has slowly inched its way along. I said, well, let's go see the fun. And they have all of these ropes, velvet ropes, stopping people. They've got, this is like going to one of the hot clubs in town. They got the bouncers, they've got the people there, and what happens is people go in to pick up the phone that they've ordered and they get to pick it up. And every time they walk out, as that was the other part, every time somebody walks out, the entire line cheers. And it's like a rolling cheer because it starts at the door, yay! And it rolls its way back, all the way back to the end of the line. Yay! And this goes on for hours and hours and hours. And he goes, this is insane. And he goes, I'd like to go inside. And the guy looks at him and goes, only those people who are in line can go inside. And we're processing them one by one. And they're standing outside in the sweltering sun, getting their iPhone. And they're getting their magic from Apple. Now, all I can say for all of you who are Android people and all those other people out there, there's a business lesson in that Apple has convinced people to do just that, because that is just wild. It's crazy ideas, but that's what they were doing. They're out there sweating like crazy, waiting in line, and it's a group cheer. So in some ways, it's, I think they could, if they did it a little bit more, maybe Apple could convert to like a religious order or something and become a nonprofit. Maybe, be the largest religion in the world.
That's true.
Just kidding, for all of you people who are kind of crazy out there. Okay. So what is the next question?
All right. So what's your overall take on like the rate of technology? Are these actual technological advances or breakthroughs, or just more of the same thing?
There's a really great book, if you've not read this, out there in YouTube and Facebook and video land, is called Innovator's Dilemma. And what the Innovator's Dilemma by Clay Christensen talked about is that he talked about how technology advances. And right now, we are now locked into a evolutionary improvement step by step by step, because I don't see any new breakthroughs, lots of cool words, lots of ways to describe stuff, but we really don't see any major breakthroughs, because let's face it, everybody has a phone that has cameras. By the way, the top of the line iPhone has 3 cameras on the back, a camera on the front. It's got tracking. It's got all of these fancy things that used to take a lot more, a lot bigger system, does all of those things. So everything is an incremental improvement. Now, it doesn't mean that it isn't impressive what you could do today. Again, I have had so many different phones in my life, and what we have today is quite astonishing in what it can do and how it can do it and where it goes. But I would say that we haven't seen a breakthrough in quite a while, and I don't see any coming on the horizon. So that means every year, we're going to see an improvement and an improvement and improvement, because that's where we're at. We're incrementally improving these things. And we'll see if there's going to actually be a true serious breakthrough anytime soon. But right now, we're kind of stuck into this evolutionary, little bit faster, a little bit better, a little bit here and there. And again, if you ever read the marketing hype, everything is always 40% this or 80% that or so much percentage of that. And it's always based upon, of course, the last generation. So it's incremental, incremental, incremental.
So does anybody really need the power and capability that you can get with the top of the line phone?
Well, that's a good question, because the iPhone 13 Max can be maxed. I guess the max version of it, you can get up to 1 terabyte of storage. Think about that, 1 terabyte of storage. Now, for those of you who don't understand what that means, is that it wasn't that long ago that I was selling technology, and the bleeding edge is that, and I was pleased that I was selling it. The bleeding edge is I was selling a 1 gigabyte. That's 1 gigabyte. A terabyte has 1,000 gigabytes. 1 gigabyte on a single spindle hard drive for $118,000. So buying the Apple iPhone 13 Pro Max is like $1,699, or I think that's the number. Check Apple will be happy to sell it to you for whatever, for that or more. Anyway, but it has 1 terabyte. So do you need that much space? I don't. It depends on your application. Because of taking so many photos and taking so many videos, and my prediction is that we're going to take even more of them in the future. I mean, if you now look at YouTube Shorts and TikTok and Instagram and all of the other sites that are coming up, we're going to see more and more of it. The real question is, do you need a terabyte? Probably not. But think about when we were traveling, when Sandra and I were at Freedom Fest, the crew of us, is that we had 32, what was that, a 32 gigabyte SD card, and that was pretty cool. But think about having, a terabyte. That's just an amazing number. So, and of course, by the way, if you're going to shoot in 4K, you can't even use the lowest size, the lowest capacity size iPhone, because you need more to be able to shoot 4K, because 4K sucks up to so much space. Now, I question, maybe I'm showing my, kind of stuck in wherever I was at, but I start to question if we need 4K, and now people are talking about going to 8K. I mean, at some point in time, first off, your eye can't see anymore. Now, having more data is always better, but at some point in time, it's what is the practical limit of that. So does somebody need all of that space? You have to have the use case. And if you do, then you do, and you go out and you do it. And I will tell you, for all those people who are now whining about how much Apple is charging, and yeah, they're making good money off of it. But that is, if you want a future-proof phone, get yourself a terabyte of space. And my guess is that you can keep downloading stuff through that 5G as long as you can, and you probably won't run out of space.
So what about having that much space and capability? Expand on that.
So years ago, when I first started selling high tech, I was actually out there and I was selling disk subsystems, and we had 3 capacities. And I discovered that, first off, selling the largest capacity one made it easier for me to make quota, but also the fact that data kept expanding and expanding and expanding and expanding. And that became a very interesting, aspect of things. So it kept expanding. And so what I would do is I would walk in and I would say, okay, we have 3 different sizes. People say, okay, tell me what they are. 7.8 megabytes. You heard that right, megabytes, 20 megabytes, or 30 megabytes. And I found out, first off, the company would pay me a little bit of a bonus if I sold 30s instead of 20s or 7.8s. So John, that would be me, said, I got to go and sell as many 30s as I can. So I crafted an entire story, and here's the pitch. I'll give you the pitch. Is I would sit there and I would talk to these engineers, and I would say, you need to buy the 30. And they're like, well, I don't know how we would ever fill that space. Remember, we just talked about 1 terabyte. First off, photos are bigger than 30 megabytes easily. I mean, easily. This video that we're shooting now is going to be, humongous compared to that. And what I did was I say, do you have any closets at home? I mean, tell me about your house. And they would always tell me, and I said, so how many closets are empty in your house? Now, it didn't matter if they were single, married, dating. It didn't matter if they lived with their mom. Everybody had their closets filled. And the pitch was, think of a disk drive like a closet. You are going to fill it. You're going to fill it up. You're going to keep filling it up. You're going to keep filling it up. You're going to keep filling it up. So in my mind, do we need all that space? My guess is that we're going to probably get more and more of it. I don't have an idea of who's going to watch all this stuff, but maybe that's something that we'll have to think about down the road. But right now, we are in a boom to expand how much that we do and how much we expand it and how much we consume of it. And I don't see that ending. And all I can tell you is that when I sat there and helped people make that decision to go out and buy 30 megabytes, and they did, I did not have a single person who didn't say, John, thank you for talking me into the big one. Conversely, I never met a single person who bought the smallest one who didn't say, John, why didn't you talk me into the bigger one? Because I've run out of space, which of course, then I would sell them another subsystem.
Overall, what's your recommendation to somebody who's thinking about buying Apple tech?
So if you're going to buy Apple tech, my take of it is depending upon, and this is my idea of the phone. If you're going to buy a phone and you're not going to buy one every year, you should probably buy the Pro, because the Pro will give you the best cameras, give you the best capabilities, give you the best features, and probably you can stretch it 2-3 years. And now it gets down to hand size. If you have smaller hands, then you buy the smaller one. Again, the screen size is what drives this. And if you have larger hands and you want to have that bigger space, then you buy the Pro Max. Also, if you're going to buy any of the iPad offerings, my suggestion again is the iPad mini. Looks like a sure and hot winner. I like the fact that it's got a lot of new features in the mini. The mini was kind of an orphan there for a while. And if you don't have a tablet, I mean, and I'm not, again, I get nothing from Apple. I get nothing from the Android people. But if you don't have a tablet, you might want to consider getting a tablet, because a tablet does a lot of really cool things that you can't necessarily do with a phone. Now, some people went out and bought the in between, because I know Samsung made the, Flabit or what, I can't even pronounce whatever the hell it was, I mean, tells you those guys don't have great naming people, yikes. But what I can tell you is that, a tablet is probably a pretty good idea, because you can set it on a counter. You can do a variety of things. I use mine every single day, like I said. And in fact, I would recommend that. And then let's talk about what we haven't talked about, which is the watch. So they came out with the Series 7 watch, and, it's some pretty interesting changes. Now, I have the first generation one, and I had such high hopes. I'm a watch person, and all I can tell you is that, boo boo hoo, boo boo hoo, boo 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 hoo. Now you're gonna say, what the hell did he just say? Which is like, that's so I don't talk about it in, lots of 4-letter words, which is it didn't live up to my expectations. Will I buy another watch from Apple? Maybe, but I have to be convinced that the damn thing's going to work, because that was my problem. It wouldn't sync. It wouldn't stay syncing. And I kept hearing all these other things. And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, the stuff has got to just work. So my recommendation to wrap this whole thing up is, if you're in the market for a new iPhone, go check out the iPhone 13s. I have not seen them physically, because of course we just had the reveal. And I am seriously considering getting a 13, because it is a major step up from what I have, which is an XR. So I am, several generations back, and I will get back on that Apple bandwagon of sending them more money. I do not own any Apple stock. I do not get anything from Apple for saying that, but I'm just telling you, as a person who's used lots and lots and lots of phones, the phone works, and that's why I like it so much. Now, I have Android phones also, but I do prefer the Apple iPhone. I find it to work better than the Android phones. Every time I say that, we're going to get comments down below. We're going to have some Android person saying they know how to do this. Great. Come over to my office and show me. I'll sit on your lap, and you can show me how to make the damn thing do what it's supposed to do, because I get really annoyed by it. And also, can we get to a little better naming? I'm going to do a little Android dig here. I mean, I don't need, operating systems named, Sugar Cookie and Fat Tire and, Triple Dumbo and all that. I mean, seems clever, Quit being clever. Give me a number. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what we got. That's all I need to know. And I want to know, does it work? And that's the key. Does it work? And that's what I like. So that is my take of it. And all I can say for all of you out there is go check it out. It's fun to be in this day and age, by the way, in my opinion. If you like technology, I love gadgets. You like technology, you like this stuff. But here's my bottom line. If you buy this stuff, always have the idea that this is going to start at the A, not like yo, but A. And then watch it over time and see how it deteriorates, because it will deteriorate in your eyes. It won't work as well as you thought it should. It won't do the things you thought it should. But my guess is that most people don't get enough out of their technology to really make it do what it should do. They should be amazing productivity boosts. You should be using it every single day to do that. And you should keep thinking all the time, how do I learn more about how do I use the technology? Because if you don't, it's a shame to waste all of this capability. Final little story, sitting on an airplane with my client doing this turnaround, and we're flying back from a sales meeting. And the plane is filled with, our people, and all these people got new laptops, and everybody had a laptop. And of course, it's years ago, because it would be even worse today. Everybody has their laptop up, and they're either playing solitaire, or they're playing some other game, or they're looking at something that's inappropriate on an airplane. And the only guy who was really working on it was the accounting guy. Now, you can do whatever you want with technology. I'm not here to tell you what to do with technology, but I'm going to tell you that you only have one life to live. Don't play trivial nonsense, in my opinion. Go do something with it and make it a productivity tool. And that way you have a reason to go out and buy this new crazy high tech, because it is amazing what it can do compared to before. And it will relentlessly march on from here on out. By the way, I'm John Palmendicci. This has been Raging Verbalist 95. The ever lovely Sandra has joined us. And go check us out. Go to positiontowinbook.com, positiontowinbook.com, Facebook group, YouTube. You know how to do it. Let's get it done. And until next week, all I can say is wait for the next big reveal.